Hello and welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. A devastating wave of attacks across Ukraine has left at least 22 people dead and over 100 injured as Russia unleashed a barrage of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and hundreds of drones targeting multiple cities, including Kyiv, Odessa, and Dnipro. Meanwhile, fresh commitments from allies at the latest Ramstein meeting promise billions in military support. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss the implications is Yulia Sirko, Ukrainian MP from the Voice Party, policymaker actively engaged in Ukraine's security and international cooperation efforts. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello from Kiev.
So with all these strikes, how's Ukraine's air defense coping right now?
Actually, Ukraine air defense coping more or less well, but sure, it's overwhelming by hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles from Russia. So unfortunately, a few of them targeted residential buildings and killed almost 30 people, and many people, 100 people injured. So unfortunately, it's still Russia is still targeting civilians, not frontline, and that's the result you can see on the screen. Unfortunately, we have a lot of damage today. But in general, air defense system, Ukrainian air defense system, becoming more and more developed, and we are trying to build interceptors for drones, for Russian drones, by ourselves and using mostly our weapon. Unfortunately, ballistics is very difficult to hit and to destroy, and that's why for that we need to cooperate with our international partners, including Patriot missiles we're asking from the international community.
Right, and how's it been going so far? Any response when it comes to the Patriots to intercept these ballistic missiles?
You know that Iran war unfortunately crewed most of the Patriot missiles in the Middle East. So there's a big deficit of the Patriot missiles around the world, including for Ukraine. We have some, but unfortunately we need more and more. And you can see that Russia not stopping with ballistics, and most probably will not stop.
Are there any replacement for the Patriot systems when it comes to intercepting some of these cruise missiles and ballistic missiles?
I think a few of them Europeans have, but still Patriots is one of the most developed and most sophisticated at this point of time. You know, to develop the missile and to produce it, it's a very complicated and long process. We are on our way, but I think it will take a time to produce it and to have a really industrial production of the anti-ballistic missiles.
And when it comes to this $4 billion air defense commitment from Ukraine's partner, how significant is that, and is it able to solve some of these short-term issues?
I think it's very significant, and we are very grateful for our international partners. But we have to admit and understand that our international partners and European partners also lack of the such systems as Patriot. So we can get it, we can buy it, but still in a limited amounts. And but we are working, as I said, on different kind of interceptors. At least we can intercept drones, Russian drones, and we are developing more and more sophisticated systems. So, and we're happy to share it with the European partners, and we are doing it. And I think we can see it from the signed agreements and cooperation agreements between Ukraine and Germany and other countries. So I hope we will be more and more, we will develop more and more sophisticated systems which allow us to survive next to aggressive Russia.
Right, and when it comes to Ukraine's partner, like you mentioned, we have Germany, we have Italy now talking a lot of bilateral cooperations as well. A lot of people are speculating that some of these strikes inside Ukraine is sort of retaliation coming from the Kremlin, seeing that they've actually issued what amounts to sort of a threat. What's your response to that?
I think yes. They are always targeting civilians and doing terroristic attacks when Ukraine has success on international arena or success on a battlefield. So they cannot respond on battlefield, army to army, and that's why they are terrorizing Ukrainian civilians. And that's, I think, one of the responses for Ramstein and for successful Ramstein and for many successful agreements Ukraine's signed with the European countries.
Right. Coming back to Ramstein, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is targeting 60 billion as a kind of goal for this year's aid to Ukraine. How much would that alleviate the current situation? And do you think that there'll be any specific capabilities that Ukraine's partner can provide in the immediate term to alleviate some of these pressure on the civilians?
I think we need, as I said, the air defense systems, anti-ballistic systems, and long-range missiles, as well as joint production and increase of production of drones and missiles, Ukrainian missiles. So we have a bunch of projects we can cooperate, and I think 60 billion will cover not only just a weapon sent to Ukraine, but also joint production, and in this way we can reinforce our capabilities and increase our joint capabilities on European continent to produce enough weapon without external partners. And I think we need it badly because we see that in the world we have different wars, and so we have to be ready to protect ourselves without US and other countries. And I think we are on this way. It will take time, but still I think we are in the right way, moving in the right way and direction. So 60 billion, it's not just money coming to the Ukrainian budget. It's mostly for the support of Ukrainian army and weapon, and including joint production of weapon on European soil. And I think it will also reinforce industrial base of many countries, European countries.
Right. You touched on long-range missiles a bit earlier. I'm curious about the long-strike capabilities and what role does it play on defense, or are we also talking about potential strike into Russia as well?
Yes, but we are doing it mostly and probably 100% by our weapon. So we are producing long-range drones, and we are targeting military targets inside Russia, far inside Russia. It's like up to 2,000 kilometers inside Russian continent, Russian land. We're doing it by our own capabilities, and there is no other way how to bring war back to Russia as to actually to reach military targets deep inside Russian land.
Right. Now, taking a step back and looking at a broader picture, recently we've seen U.S. weakened this commitment to NATO, and the relationships sort of deteriorate as well. I was wondering if how that would indirectly or directly impact Ukraine.
As I said, I think U.S. is talking about the NATO to leave NATO, not first time. I think this discussion started with a new administration. Came one and a half years ago, and even earlier. So I think we have to be prepared that at some point of time, U.S. will not able or will not want to help Europeans to protect themselves. And this is a reality we are living in, and we have to reinforce, as I said, our industrial base, weapon production, joint technologies, and actually to start not only develop but production of a new kind of weapon which is needed on a modern battlefield, not just to produce old-fashioned tanks or other weapon, but also use our experience on the battlefield, use our skills, Ukrainian skills and Ukrainian capabilities, and to produce also modern weapon. As we can see in the Iran war, there are a lot of changes, and this is not only war only by ballistic and conventional weapon, but also sea drones, air drones, and different kind of weapon which is modern and was not developed before.
Right, and we'll have to see how Ukraine shifts to play a central role in the future's European-led security alliances. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.